Did you know that nearly half of the world's ice and desert-free land is used for agriculture, most of which is used for livestock? If the world switched to a plant-based diet, the land needed for agriculture would be reduced by 75%. Changing your diet can take a lot of work, but there are communities right here in Winnipeg encouraging plant-based diets. Let's take a moment to learn a little bit about the upcoming Winnipeg VegFest.
My name is Randy Tennellier. I've been involved with Winnipeg VegFest right from the beginning, and I got involved with Winnipeg VegFest as a volunteer for the Winnipeg Humane Society. We had a committee called the Animal Compassion Team, and the main focus of this committee was to advocate for animals that weren't companion animals, so for the farm animals, for animals in entertainment. And back in 2016, we had Jason Hannon, a professor at the University of Winnipeg, join the committee, and he had this vision of starting a Veg Fest in Winnipeg. So as a committee, we decided to get behind it, and worked for about a year, and we launched Veg Fest and had our first event in 2017.
So I guess it's a kind of really exciting time because now that COVID has kind of slowed down and everything, you can actually have these big in-person events. So I guess just what is the feeling and anticipation of the group as we're heading into the event this weekend?
We're very excited about it. We've been planning for a year again. We have what I think is going to be an amazing event planned for everyone. We're going to be outdoors again this year for the second year in a row. So if anyone does have any fears about COVID, you're outdoors, so you're much safer. And it's just a very exciting time for us. We try to bring in speakers who are experts from around the world to talk to people about a variety of reasons why they might want to decide having more plant-based options in their diet. It's going to be a great day and a great event.
It's definitely a hot topic right now in conversations, not necessarily just about the ethics of it, although those are incredibly important, and we can definitely talk a little bit about that, but also the aspects of sustainability here on the planet. And I think for most people, when you see the events that are happening, the wildfires here in Canada and all the other disasters that are happening around the world, climate change is a real challenge that us as humanity is going to have to face. And at least one of the ways is reducing the impact on the planet in terms of changing diet. Because that's one thing I learned just looking at our agricultural land in Canada and the United States. How much land is actually used just for livestock feed, not even for agricultural purposes for human consumption?
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah. Most people realize that deforestation is an issue when it comes to climate change. It's by most studies would say it's about 10% of all climate change is caused by deforestation. But what they might not know is that 80 to 90% by most studies of that deforestation is for us to clear land so we can grow crops and feed animals that we later eat. Just an interesting fact on that point, it takes about 5 or 6 pounds of plant protein fed to an animal so we can produce 1 pound of animal protein. It's kind of a protein machine in reverse. You put a bunch of protein in there and you get a little bit out. Plus you have to put a bunch of fresh water. So the environmental reasons are huge. And with the last couple of years of disasters we've seen around the world, it just heightens the heightens the importance of looking at this and maybe considering changing our diets a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. And I just think it's interesting because, one of the things is always we have the resources. Like when we see people who are struggling for malnutrition or they're just hungry day to day. We have the resources and the items available. It's about the desire and how we focus and change on things.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of climate change experts who have said that if we all went to plant-based diets, we would solve world hunger because we'd have so much more land to grow crops to feed humans. As we look into the future and increasing climate change, there's predictions that more and more people are going to die every year from starvation, and this is something as a race, and especially or as humanity, especially in developed countries where we feel the effects a little bit less than the more impoverished countries. We really have to start grappling with that. I think as something that. As an ethical issue as well.
I can understand the hesitancy of some people to change diets or to change society's whole purview towards more plant-based things, because meat is tasty. It's really tasty. But you know what? If you take the time and effort to learn and cultivate different culinary techniques, plant-based foods can be just as tasty.
My own personal journey has been really throughout my whole life to sort of slowly reduce animal products.
Yeah, that's what me and my partner are doing right now too.
Yeah, it's some people do it overnight. I certainly couldn't do it. I used to love the taste of a steak. But now, having not had one for probably going on 20 years, it turned my stomach. I mean, your tastes change, which is the interesting part. Mm-hmm. You're right. There's so many tasty plant-based options out there, and once you've been eating them for a while, you don't want to go back.
I think it's called lion's mane or something like that. That you can replicate it to not only have the texture of chicken, but almost taste like it as well.
Yeah, I've never cooked with that. I've really been trying to experiment with more plant-based cooking over the last few years, but I haven't used that. But yeah, there are a lot of products out there that will taste like meat for sure. Impossible burgers, stuff like that as well. And then there's a lot you can do just with whole food, plant-based items and some nice spices. And
that's the thing. Don't be afraid to add seasoning and flavor to your food.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't have to all be salt. You can put.
Yeah, there's so many things you can try, just mix and match, and it's all about slowly developing habits. Because right now, my partner and I, we basically don't eat beef that often. Every once in a while, we'll have hamburger or something when we see it's on sale. We're like, hey, you know what? Let's go for tacos. But we've started to change. We did, refried bean tacos one time, and I didn't feel like I missed out on anything.
No, you get, that's the real interesting part for me too, is I think, I first got into eating more plant-based for ethical reasons around the way that animals are raised in industrialized farming. But over the last few years, especially being involved with VegFest, I've learned so much more about the not only the health benefits of eating plant-based, but also the negative health effects of eating animals.
Oh yeah, red meat is really hard on your body.
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's there's so many studies out there right now showing all types of animal products will increase your likelihood of catching or developing anything from heart disease to cancers to dementia. It's really quite a field that is exploding. I understand there's close to several thousand studies on this right now, bona fide, peer-reviewed, done by top-notch doctors. So it's very fascinating.
One thing I learned really recently that I thought was interesting, kind of following in there, what you can contract from animal products, non-pasteurized milk. Apparently, you can contract tuberculosis from a cow from unpasteurized milk. So if it has tuberculosis, it can give it to you. Yeah. Though because of how regulated the industry is right now, hasn't really been a problem. But every once in a while we start to have health trends that are just trends. They don't sit in any scientific basis, and they're like, yeah, just drink raw milk left, right, and center. It's like, it's not the best idea.
No, not at all. And milk itself is questionable. I think most people have an opinion that it's really good for you, it's good for your bones, you need it to be healthy. But the majority of that is from marketing, like some strong marketing campaigns. It's one of the reasons why when the Canada Food Guide was revised a few years ago, they said be very careful about marketing. And they also removed dairy as a food group back then as well, because there are a lot of negative health effects you can get from drinking dairy.
Well, the thing about dairy is, it's meant for young developing, specifically for the milk that we drink, cow milk. It's for a developing cow, and we do
Right,
process
right.
it. And I do think it's really incredible how, through domestication in the process, we've been able to, for a lot of people, fight off lactose intolerance, because that's
Yeah.
something you develop as you get older. Like, most animals are lactose intolerant once they grow. Like, the bacteria in their gut that breaks it down eventually disappears. And for humans, because we constantly consume dairy, it's been able to kind of stabilize. But for a lot of people, yeah, they're lactose intolerant. And because, dairy is so prevalent, because cheese is delicious. We have a lot of people have to utilize medications in order to not have upset stomachs or nausea, just so they can enjoy a food.
Right. And I think for most people, cheese is probably the hardest to get away from. I was talking with a friend who's a doctor the other day, and he was saying it sort of it hits the receptors in the brain at the same spot where like hard drugs like heroin will. It's sort of like it's just it's that addictive. But there's an amazing amount of great plant-based cheeses out there. Fortunately now, I love the cashew-based ones myself. They're really hard to tell the difference between that and real cheese.
Well, that's the thing. There's still a special place in my heart for like milk, because my favorite thing, just for lunch or something, great glass of chocolate milk. It's just something that I've done basically forever.
Yeah.
But changing to different types of like milk alternatives, they're great, especially for like cereals and stuff. I barely notice. For chocolate milk and things, the consistency is still a little bit different, so it doesn't quite hit my brain the same. But like if I'm having cereal or something, like oat milk or something does it for me.
Yeah, it's really tasty. There's a ton of different types of milks out there now. If you want to lower your cholesterol levels, maybe that's a good spot to start. If you want to, decrease your risk of a variety of different diseases, that's also a good spot to start. Yeah, lots of reasons to do it, and lots of tasty alternatives.
Yeah. And VegFest is the perfect place to start having these conversations if someone's interested.
As I was saying, we do our best to bring in experts from around the world who talk about human nutrition, about sports performance, about climate change, animal welfare, and it's an absolutely free event. We're there to just try to provide information for people and also have a fun, enjoyable day. During the day, we're going to have a wide variety of speakers, performers. We have a kids area that'll be active all day. It's got face painting, it's got storytelling, some contests. There's just going to be lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, and this all takes place at the University of Winnipeg this weekend?
Yeah, University of Winnipeg, this Saturday, September 9th, from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. There's going to be activities going on all day long. The forecast right now looks amazing. So yeah, come out with your whole family. There's also going to be a lot of tasty food there as well. I don't want to forget that. We've got a lot of food vendors, some food trucks, so you'll be able to sample some great plant-based options there as well.
I'm trying to do the math right. So it started in 2017, the official one. So now it's 2023. So that's 6 years now.
Yeah, with we had to take a bit of time off during the pandemic.
Okay.
But yeah, we're happy to be back. Our first event after the pandemic last year, and this one will be building on it. So yeah, every year we seem to get bigger and bigger crowds. People, this is a really interesting topic for people, and it's a fun event to be part of and to go to.
And what has some of your favorite experiences been over this time? Because you've been there on the ground floor when it first started.
Yeah, I think the favorite for me is meeting some of the speakers that we bring in, and it's been really eye-opening as well. A few years ago, we brought in Megan Duhamel. She was Olympic gold medalist figure skater for Canada, and having kind of exercised all my life, certainly not an elite athlete like her, I was just fascinated to talk to her. Her talk was about how she was kind of top tier in the world as a figure skater, and it wasn't until she went plant-based that her performance just kind of skyrocketed above everyone else and gave her the opportunity to win the gold medal. She said absolutely she would not have won it without going plant-based, which to me was, I hadn't quite heard that yet, and a lot of people haven't heard those sort of stories. So that's why we always try to bring in a couple of athletes every year, just so people can learn. Because there's so many myths out there about, eating a plant-based diet, people feel, oh, you're going to be weak, you're not going to have any energy, but it's really the opposite, it seems.
Well, I think it's definitely been the push from, fast food corporations and everything about, hey, we have to have meat in the meal sort of thing. Like a lot of, hey, if people started switching over to more plant-based things, like the amount of impact that would have on the bottom line of large corporations, is massive. So of course there's going to be a push for there. And for the person who was going through and finding that plant-based was right for them to push them to the next level, like the human body is an interesting thing. We're so flexible in terms of our diet because we're so adaptive and survival. Kind of exploring those options because maybe you have a sensitivity to meat. Maybe that's one of the things that's probably to you. You never know until you try. And I think culturally continuing to change the options. If we change to subsidizing things such as plant-based things like pea proteins or other beans and sorts of things instead of meat, well, I mean, we could basically make food incredibly cheap and affordable for everyone. Takes less space, takes less resources. And if farmers had an economic incentive to pursue those beyond just kind of, because right now, like for things like Beyond Meat and stuff, it is still a little fringe on the side, a little bit of a niche. And personally, I would also like to see us move away from trying to just replicate meat and embracing things as just, it's a plant. It's okay to be a plant. It doesn't have to be a meat.
Right. Absolutely. That's where my interest lies too, is more in sort of the whole food as opposed to an imitation meat. Like I think it's healthier for us, and there's so many options out there. Like you mentioned, it's great to see things like pea protein kind of becoming more money going into that. But I would love to see things shift and us experiment more as humanity to grow more of those type products.
Is there like a go-to meal, plant-based meal that you're like, yes, this is one of my favorites right now?
Oh, there's a lot. You can make a lot of amazing soups. I made a tom yum soup the other day that I loved, which was a Thai-inspired soup. A variety of different vegetables, lemongrass, mushrooms, lime leaves. Put some tofu in there. I love that. That's make a similar one with a peanut sauce. But yeah, there's a lot of like quick and easy sort of meals to make like that too. But I sort of go to the Asian inspired ones whenever I'm cooking lately, it seems.
Yeah, so a lot of foods are very flexible, like spring rolls and things like that, or I think that's what they're called. They're nice and light, like putting mint in there. I know sometimes we like to put shrimp in there every once in a while, but you could easily take that out. And I know one of the dips is like fish oil sauce, which is pretty good, but there's also a peanut based one that you could do. So there's so much things that you could like take a pre-established thing that might have some stuff in there, just pop it out, like pizza, for example.
Right, yeah.
Vegetarian pizza is super good.
Yeah, there's it's so nice to be able to see on menus now when you go out to eat. There's especially pizza places. Most of them have a veg option, and some of them have a vegan option as well. So yeah, it's there's so many different ways to substitute out animal products and put in really tasty plant products.
Yeah, and I think it just adds that spice of life sort of thing in there. Try out something new. You never know like what sort of thing you're going to do. Like, I can't remember exactly what the type of mushroom's called, but I think colloquially it's called the steak mushroom. And it's just this massive, massive thing that you just kind of cut in half, throw on the barbecue, put on some barbecue sauce, some seasoning. Delicious, great textures. And you never know what you can experiment. Try out different things. Be like, let's try out some different soups at this time of day, or maybe different types of pies or things like that. Like there's chicken pot pie. Like who knows what sort of things you could try and attempt to do.
One of our speakers, Angela Tucker, local Manitoban, is also a registered dietitian. So I think she'll be talking a little bit about all of those sorts of things as well, and giving people ideas of how to maybe, not transition overnight, but slowly incorporate more plant-based options into their weekly menu.
Yeah, it's a marathon. We're not trying to tell people you got to quit it out today.
Yeah.
Right now. Get it out. Nope. Throw it out the window.
Yeah.
No. Slowly adjust. See what you like, and you never know. Maybe you'll be like, wow, I never knew that, I could live without meat, sort of thing. For a lot of people, that could be something, because there's so much, that's one thing that keeps flabbergasting me, that meat is kind of become a primary source of food. It's not just an add-on from here to there. It used to be just a couple decades ago that maybe you'd have meat every couple of days or so with a meal or something. And now it's just so pervasive at times that sometimes when I don't cook with meat, there's a part of my brain that's like, what are you doing? Isn't it normal to just have meat as the primary thing of your meal? Yeah,
so true. It's we've become a little bit obsessed with protein, and people feel that if they don't have meat with every meal or meat every day, they're going to lack protein. But surprising thing is, there's protein in plants. There's lots of protein in plants. So you can get everything you need from just eating a healthy, well-balanced diet every day. If you want to be an elite athlete, or if you want to grow a lot more muscle, you can also supplement with plant protein. It's, there's a whole wide variety of protein bars, protein shakes that are all made from plants. Yeah. Last year we brought in Patrick Babaumian, who was the Germany's strongest man and also had the world record for yoke carry, which is putting massive amounts of weight on your back and walking a long distance. Massive guy. And all plant-based. Shocking to people because they just don't realize you can grow muscle without eating meat.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of experimentation.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Randy, it has been an absolute pleasure sitting with you talking about this important subject. Just for our listeners again, when is VegFest happening and what can they expect?
Awesome. Yeah, it's been fabulous being here with you too. So VegFest is taking place this Saturday, September 9th at the University of Winnipeg, outdoors between 11 and 6 p.m. Come on down. There'll be lots going on. We have over 80 vendors there, a bunch of food vendors. We'll have sort of 2 entertainment areas on the front lawn. We'll have performers all day long, belly dancing, a drag show, a bunch of neat stuff going on. We have a kids zone where there's all sorts of activities all day. And then a little bit further north of that is our quad area where we'll have speakers all day long. And we're bringing in speakers from Los Angeles, from Atlanta, Georgia, from Charlotte, North Carolina, athletes, experts in
people from all
climate
over.
Change. Yeah, so there's going to be so much going on. We're going to pack it all into one day. So it's going to be an amazing event, and it's all free.
Have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight? Leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.